Hi everyone, this is Tim Barron from Rocket Matter. Thank you so much for joining us today for the latest presentation in our practice management and technology and productivity series. Today we are very excited to have the Droid Lawyer himself, Jeff Taylor, who will tell us about all things Android and lawyers. Jeff is the author of the popular blog, The Droid Lawyer. Jeff's blog discusses apps, tablets, smartphones, and offers how-to advice on getting the most out of your Android phone or tablet. The Droid Lawyer blog is a 212 ABA Journal Top 100 law blog. Jeff speaks frequently to bar associations about Android and its uses in law practices. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate the invite to come and speak. I do speak a lot, and I'm happy to be here and talk about some of the ways that lawyers can use Android and be more productive and efficient in their practice. If you have any questions, I encourage you to ask them right away. Otherwise, we'll have a long hour of me drawing on about stuff. Let's get started. I want to start with giving you 4 facts about me because I don't really get to do this often. And since this is my time, I get to talk about it. But here are 4 facts I think that are kind of interesting and people would like to know. First fact is I once worked as a body snatcher. Well, not really a body snatcher, so to speak, but I did go and do, as an undergrad, I lived and worked in a mortuary, and so we'd go do what I affectionately call body runs, which is picking up the deceased individual and taking it back to the funeral home. I do have a couple of kids. I refer to them as the Droid Tots. My first thing is 8 years old. My second thing is 6 years old. And my third thing is 4 years old. And so you'll see them on the blog sometimes talked about, and I am married, and you sometimes hear me talk about Mrs. the Droid Lawyer. Fact number 3, I collect bobbleheads. Not just any bobbleheads, but special events and occasions and particular instances. So it's not just anything. I do have a method to my madness, but you'll see the shelf line with Android and places I visited and particular experiences we've had. And fact number 4 is in the beginning, the Droid Lawyer blog lacks substance. The reason I got started with the Droid Lawyer blog was to try to help people, and since there wasn't anybody out there, I created the blog. This started on February 7th, 2011, and this is the very first pathetic post on the benefit of Google Apps. And so that commenced it, and wasn't really substantive, which brings me to whythedroidlawyerblog.com. And first, I created it as a resource for attorneys. What I found was Android's started to become the world's #1 operating system for our mobile operating system, and so I wanted a way to show off my own skills, but I also thought that other people would be the same way, that there would be enough attorneys that would like Android and would like to use the operating system. So I wanted the blog to become a reference point for them and an ability for them to be able to grow and develop. Second was because nobody else was doing it. There wasn't anybody else. When I started in 2011, there really wasn't any other blogs out there talking about Android for lawyers. We had a bunch of blogs for iPad, and certainly the iPad crew well outnumbers the Android crew, and nobody else was talking about Android, and so I thought that would be a good little area. And then third is, why not? With so few blogs out there and so few opportunities, the Droid Lawyer was a great resource and a great ability to get out and connect. And so what I encourage on my blog is that people connect with me and connect with the world in general, and we share ideas about how to better use the system and better use the tools that are available. Android started back in 2005. It's actually a pretty old operating system. It was owned by a little company called Android, and they started developing this mobile operating system that was going to be released to the world. It really didn't catch on to anything until shortly after, when Android got purchased by Google. And Google was a real powerhouse behind this. And I think what Google saw, and it'd be interesting to see some of the backlane on this, but what Google saw was an opportunity to take on Apple and put its product and its advertising and its search engines out there for everybody, and then as well as to be able to gather data and be able to grow and develop its own personal platform. And so Android was that opportunity, and they could develop it and change it and associate it as they needed to. And so in 2008 or thereabouts, Google acquired the company Android and started releasing its products and its services, and formed a partnership with Motorola to release a Droid branded name. So when Droid branded phones, when you hear the name Droid, you're actually referring to a particular brand of phone and not necessarily the Android operating system. Motorola owns the rights to the Droid, or to use the word Droid in its advertising, and so when you see that, that's the distinguishing difference. Now, Android developed from Android 1.1 basically to a series of to Android 4.3, and hopefully today we'll hear about some information on Android 4.4, which is the newest operating system. But currently we have Android 4.1 Plus, which includes 4.1 and 4.2 and 4.3, also known as Jelly Bean. Google did an interesting little thing with its naming and has decided to name everything after a dessert, a popular sweet dessert. So we started with froyo, which is frozen yogurt, gingerbread, honeycomb, ice cream sandwich, and now jelly bean. And what we ended up with is Android 4.4 recently got announced, and now it's going to be called Kit Kat, after the popular candy bar snack. And right now we're at Jelly Bean, and that consumes, this is an older distribution, but if you'll notice, it's about 46%, 47 give or take, of devices are now running Jelly Bean. One of the big criticisms of Android, which differs from iPhone or Apple's iOS system, is what's called fragmentation. Fragmentation refers to the various distributions of the Android operating system among devices. If you notice on this, you see that version 2.2, about 2.2% of phones or devices are running a later version, Android 2.2. Whereas Android 4.3, about 1.5% of devices are running that. And so fragmentation is the spread among those devices. A lot of people complain about the fragmentation issue, Android's usefulness or effectiveness, which is because of this fragmentation. Android 4.0 really changed the behavior of the Android operating system. Before that, froyo and gingerbread and honeycomb versions were good, but not great. What Google did with Android 4.0 is really modify and change the system to increase the power, to bring it better performance, better usability, and some security features. Google also changed Android when it introduced Android 4.1, which Jelly Bean. And since that time, there are some significant improvements in Android 4.1. And when I talk about devices with people, a lot of people ask me, what device should I get? Where should I be? And I always tell them, look, if you're going to buy a device, you need to buy a device that's running Android 4.1 or greater. The experience with the operating system just surpasses any other experience that you can have. Ice cream sandwich changes the way things work, but Jelly Bean really improves upon the performance and the usability of the system. And Android 4. As an example, Android 4.2 and Android 4.3 add other features such as user accounts, which enable you to section off certain portions of the device and only allow access to certain apps, certain settings, certain functions. Theoretically, with that, you could go in and create a user account for your office or some other place and only allow clients or visitors to access the system on those particular things. I use the user accounts to block my children from accessing the Google Play Store and downloading inappropriate apps or other information. So when I get up there, they can only access the apps that I allow, they can only do the things that I allow them to do, and they can only use the settings and system portions of the system that I permit them to. So when you're looking for a new device, you need to be looking at something running Android 4.1, Android 4.2, or 4.3. The second problem that creates the fragmentation issue is the fact that Google releases control of its devices and the operating system to the device manufacturer. And so when instead, unlike Apple, who every iOS owner receives the same update at the same time, when you purchase an Android device, you're really at the mercy of the manufacturer and, in some senses, the cell phone carrier or the device maker, which also leads to that spread that we talked about. Jelly Bean really is a remarkable program, improves everything that we have. Interestingly enough, Google puts these little creatures out in front of their Android campus, and you can see the different types. So let's talk about devices. And when we talk about devices, we're talking about power, we're talking about manufacturer, we talk about the ways that we can use and incorporate those devices into our work. The first series of devices is called Nexus. And this Nexus are the devices manufactured by a particular manufacturer, in most cases, in all cases today, either Samsung, Asus, or LG as far as tablets and smartphones. We've got, in this, a Nexus device means that the operating system comes directly from Google. The updates come from Google, the changes come from Google, and so similar to Apple, when you receive something and when the newest operating system is available, your Nexus device receives it within a couple of days. This summer, the latest update which was Android 4.3, released, and within a week, all Nexus devices were running Android 4.3 as an operating system. We have three different kinds of Nexus devices on the market right now. The first is the Nexus 4, and it's a phone that it operates, manufactured by LG, and operates just like any other smartphone. It runs on, currently you can get it on the T-Mobile platform or the AT&T platform, not available for Verizon, and currently not available for Sprint in the United States. Outside the United States, there are different carriers. But the LG is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best phones that you could purchase and use. the great thing about this phone is it's a great, powerful device that is available at a deeply discounted price. You're looking at about midway between $250 and $350, depending on the model. That's off contract, so which means you can take it anywhere and onto any system that it works with. Second device is called the Nexus 7, and this is a 7-inch tablet produced by ASUS for Google, and the newest version is the Nexus 7 2013, introduced this summer, and definitely a fantastic device. High quality picture, high quality display, very fast processor, enables you to run programs, games, and other applications at lightning fast speed. I have a Nexus 7, love it, use it for my primary device as reading books and browsing the internet occasionally, checking email, things like that. Great to have around, handy to use, be able to go and do what you want to. Slim enough that it'll fit into a pocket or inside a suit coat if you needed to, and can handle a lot of storage. It's got 32 gigabyte built in, so it's more. You can get them in two different models: 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte. I would never get a 16 gigabyte device. Use up the space more than you would as far as a tablet goes. A phone, you could probably get away with a 16 gigabyte device; it'd be fine. But as a tablet, you need the extra storage space. And the final device is the Nexus 10, and the Nexus 10 is a pretty fantastic tablet built by Samsung, and runs high-speed, high-quality picture display and abilities. And again, the quality, the ability to receive the most up-to-date operating system truly sets apart these Nexus devices. Now today, hopefully, we'll hear something about the Nexus 5, which is the newest smartphone that's going to be produced. We've heard very little. There's a lot of rumors going around and a lot of information going around. We've seen this is about the best tech spec in pictures we can get that's been put out. And what this is going to be is a truly revolutionary phone, high quality camera, high quality display. Looks like there will be a 16 gigabyte and a 32 gigabyte model. Come in a couple of colors and be able to process and run a significant amount of information. Also looks like it's going to be running the Android 4.4 platform as the first device to do so, which would be incredible, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this is probably the device that my next device, depending on carrier, that I'll go grab. Oh, incidentally, we'll also probably have a new Nexus 10 tablet. So if you're looking to get a tablet, you might want to hold off. The second big manufacturer is Samsung. And Samsung makes a lot of high-quality devices, and you've probably seen them out there on display and friends and colleagues. Their main devices are the Galaxy line. Their newest phone is the Galaxy Note 3. Awesome phone, awesome picture, large screen. It's 5-inch plus screen, so if you're not too keen on that, you may want to stay away from the Galaxy side of things. There is a Galaxy S4, which was released in about April or May this year, and there is a mini version which is sub 5-inch screen. So a lot of people have a problem with the bigger screens and the enormity of those. Myself, I'm a 5-inch guy. I like the 5-inch screen. I don't know that I could go a lot bigger than that, but I do like the larger screen, and I'm sure you will too as you use it. Samsung's going to introduce their new Galaxy Note tablet. that will be available starting in 2014. So if the Nexus tablet isn't what you're looking for on a Nexus 10, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 or Galaxy Tab 2 or 3 may be the one that you'd want to go for. The spec projections on it are pretty high quality. One of the things I like about the Samsung too is the fact that you can use the tablet as a multi-view. In the picture you can see where they've got two screens open. Those are widgets, but it'll actually enable you to have two screens open side by side running in a true multitasking manner versus multiple apps open at the same time but having to flip back and forth between them. The Galaxy tablets are amazing in that view, and so you can actually be watching a movie in one screen and be working on a document or some other project just like you would on your computer at the office. And then there's everybody else, which includes a bunch of other manufacturers. HTC, Sony, Motorola, Asus, and Acer are all the big secondary manufacturers, and these guys all have their different models. I have an HTC Droid DNA phone. Sony makes the Xperia 1 phone, which is a fantastic display and quality phone. Asus makes a bunch of tablets. I own an Asus Transformer Pad Infinity TF700, and they're just releasing a TF700-1, brand new tablet to replace the TF700. Motorola, you probably seen big news, and I've talked about the hype of the Moto X phone that Motorola just released, and its quality. It's getting some grand reviews on the quality of the phone. It's got a fantastic picture app and picture taking capability. And then Acer makes a series of tablets that are quality tablets. Again, the problem with these and the problem with Samsung is you're relying on the developer and the manufacturer if it's a tablet, and then also the carrier to present to you the newest operating system. So when everybody else who owns a Nexus device is running the newest operating system, you could be months or even years behind on your updates, which frustrates a lot of people and definitely is an issue to look at, and certainly a weakness among Google devices. I've got a varying opinion on the importance of devices, and sometimes I get asked, well, what device should I get first? If I'm going to get any device, I'm looking at an Android device, what should I get first? And my first inclination is always to say, and a lot of people are coming from iPhone or iOS, and they want to ditch their iPhone or they want to ditch their iPad and get an Android tablet, but keep their iPhone or vice versa. And I'm always a little hesitant to go that route, because I think you've got to consider the cost factor in making that switch. But if you do choose and you want to move your system over, I think there's an important aspect to cover, and you need to look at the size of everything in the first aspect, because size really does matter. For instance, and these are my 1, 2, and 3. If I was going to buy a new device, the first device I'd get is a smartphone. I think lawyers are going to be best benefited by purchasing a smartphone. Everything that you can do with a tablet, you can do with a smartphone, and perhaps even more. For instance, I do a lot of personal injury stuff and car wrecks and things like that. So you're always out on the accident scene or meet with clients who've been injured, and so it's nice to be able to take pictures of the scene, be able to do screenshots and things like that of important aspects. The smartphone can do that. You can also, although it's not convenient, draft the documents, edit documents, read PDFs and things like that, all with apps. So if I was going to buy a phone or a device and I didn't have any Android device, I'd go with the smartphone. I'd also get a 10-inch tablet if I already have a smartphone. And the reason being is the 10-inch tablet is easier to work from. A lot of people want to go with a 7-inch Nexus device, which is fine, but a 10-inch tablet is far easier to use and be more productive with than the 7-inch Nexus or another tablet. When it's cumbersome to try to read a pleading or case law or some other document on a 7-inch tablet. It drains. The documents just aren't formatted for those kind of devices in most cases. And a 10-inch tablet gets you close, although not perfect, to a true piece of paper, which is better than splitting it down and having to scroll. And then finally the 7-inch tablet, and I would get a Nexus 7 tablet. In my opinion, there isn't another 7-inch tablet on the market that's better. And so if you're going to go that route, 1, get a smartphone, 2, get the 10-inch tablet, 3, get your 7-inch tablet. I do like being able to carry my 7-inch tablet to court in my pocket, but far more often than not, I'm able to bring it up, use my 10-inch tablet, bring up a case, show the judge, and move on. A lot of lawyers, when people ask me what to do, the first thing I talk to people about talk to lawyers about is setting up security. I think the most important thing, and if you don't have security on your phone or your device, you need to get it there right now. Security is essential. In my opinion, if you don't have security on your device, you're violating one of your ethics rules, and that's protecting client information. Regardless of what you have on there, there's guaranteed some way that some bad guy can get to the stuff that you need. And you may tell me that you don't have any access and you leave all you never connect your documents, but I guarantee there's going to be some way. And the most common way is you're going to be using some app like LogMeIn or GoToMeeting to share the information. And so you need to have security. You need to set it up as soon as possible. The easiest security to set up is to have a lock screen. I was at a conference and I just had talked about a lock screen, and then a whole bunch of people came up to me afterwards and showed me their devices, and not a single device had set up a lock screen. There are 3 types of important lock screens. There are 6 on the phone, but there are 3 types that you need to use. You need to use a pattern, a password, or a PIN, the 3 Ps. Those are the only acceptable, in my opinion, acceptable lock screen protection that you can set up. The pattern is a drawable pattern, such as the one up on the right-hand side, and you'll find them under the menu. The way to set it up is to go to Menu, Settings, Security, Screen Lock. Up on the right-hand picture shows the lock screen. You have to draw a pattern to unlock your device. The PIN is just like it says. You type in a series of numbers, press OK, and it'll tag up your device for you. The password, it's like you have on your computer. And don't set these passwords or pins to something like 1234 or ABCD XYZ. Those are not acceptable pins or passwords. I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I've got a pin on my password or on my phone and my device." Yeah, so and they type in 11111 or 00000 or 99999. If I'm a guy who's going to break in, I'm going to try those 1234, 1111, 9999, 7777 before I try any other to unlock it. And I'm pretty confident that I'm going to unlock your device pretty quickly. So again, menu, settings, security, screen lock. Now get your device set up to put the password on. And you can also, you see up on the picture there, you can search my blog, but there's a way that you can put your information up there. So somebody calls me, dials my number, there is a reward that I'll offer, and that'll display on your device so that you can do it. Now, incidentally, let me talk about this real quick. You see on this spot where my picture is, there is a there's also a second picture there, and it's labeled kids. That is the second user account. So my kids don't know my lock screen, but they've got their own account, and they can go on the device, click that button, it'll open it up and let them in and let them have access just like to their apps and devices that I've given them, settings that I've given them, and they can go play games and surf the web if they want to, and do what they need to do. There's also a second one. This one's a new one, and this one I want you to set up as well. This is connected to your Google account, so you will need to have a Google account. If you're using Android and you're not using Google account, why not? Go ahead and get that taken care of. But Android Device Manager gives you the ability to locate your device, to lock your device, to wipe your device, and to set up some security. And the way that you get to that is to go to your menu, the app menu, go to Google Settings app, and that's going to be the green with the gears on it, and then go to Android Device Manager there at the bottom. And you'll be presented with these two selections. Double-click, click both of them, make sure they're activated. And what that does is you can ring, lock, or erase your device. And the accuracy on the device is pretty good. You'll have all your devices that are connected to your account. You'll be able to see them. So when Mrs. the Droid Lawyer loses her phone, she can go, "Hey Jeff, ring my device," and I'll press the ring button, and it sends off an alarm. Now the device does have to be connected to the internet to receive the message, which could be problematic if the battery dies or something like that. There are also applications. A couple of my favorites are Lookout and Bitdefender, which allow you to do the same thing. They do. Some of them require subscription, so you need to be a bit aware of that. Interesting feature in Lookout is there is a ping notification when your phone dies or your device loses the battery. It will send out a last place ping, and so you'll be able to at least look for it in the last place, which it hopefully was. To access Device Manager, google.com/android/device manager. I want to talk about adding accounts because, and unfortunately I forgot to put a picture on this one, but adding accounts is pretty easy. And you can add a Google account if you need to, menu, settings, accounts, and sync, and just click what you need. There are many ways to customize your device. That is the great thing about Android. Being able to change it, personalize it, and set it up in such a way that that you feel comfortable with, and that's personalized to you. The easiest ways are to install launchers, and launchers are changes to your home screen without having to do a lot of techie work. And the two of my favorites that I'm going to recommend and over, one is Nova Launcher, and this is I think it's a $3 app that you can install, and launchers are just apps that install on your device, but they change how your device forms and functions. For instance, if you want to minimize the icons and make them smaller than they normally would be, Nova Launcher will allow you to do that. If you want to delete the number of screens that you have and only have one, Nova Launcher will do that. There are a couple of communities on Google Plus about launchers, and specifically Nova Launchers, and everybody shares their screens, and some of the ways that these people set up their device is quite amazing. The other launcher that I want to talk about is Aviate. Now, you're not going to be able to get this unless you know somebody who's got an app, because it's in beta right now, and so you have to get invites. But Aviate is a new app that I reviewed, and you can catch it within the last couple of days on the blog. It's interesting, and it's actually might take over my Nova Launcher on my phone and tablet. I'm still playing around with it to see if I like. There are some things I don't like about it, but overall it's intuitive. It presents the information, and basically what it does is tells you the information that you want based on where you are. So for instance, if you're at home, it'll show you apps that you set to those particular channels and those particular spots, and give you the information at the point that you want them. And then if you're at work, it'll show you apps based on where you work and the information that you want at work. So if there's somebody you frequently call from work, this is what'll change it. And so I like Aviate, but again, you're not going to be able to get it unless you get invited at this period of time. Now, invites are a dime a dozen, but the wait list is extensive, and I had 5, and my invites went in about 30 seconds. So there it is a popular launcher, and a lot of people are trying it. The other way to do it is to add custom ROMs and routing. What a custom ROM is basically a developer, a programmer has gone out and changed the way that the Android system operates. Most popular custom ROM right now is CyanogenMod. It's a customized version of Android that includes specific features and maybe some extra features that aren't in stock Android. CyanogenMod, for instance, includes a pretty cool camera app that's not in Android right now, and you can also get some different settings and ways that it functions. And usually with a custom ROM, you can get more of the newer operating system, but it does require rooting, which is a complex, sometimes often complex process that can damage your phone. If you want to know more about custom ROMs, check out this post. There is a gigantic database of every ROM, almost every ROM that's available for Android, what it features, and how it's going to change or operate, and some of the difficulty in setting it up. The bad thing about custom ROMs is the rooting process. But the good thing is, if you're running an older device, some of the custom ROMs can bring the device up to date and make it more efficient for you and better. And it's a great way without having to spend money, gear out a little bit of time. Custom ROMs are a great way to change the way that your Android system behaves and operates. Now for everybody's favorite part of the topic. Everybody always asks me, what are my favorite apps? And so I publish and I'll get ready to publish another one here in about mid-November. But the top apps for lawyers and in general, and top apps you're gonna love. But I think I've compressed and taken down some of the apps, and these are, if I have to say, these are the absolute favorite apps. This is going to be it. Of course, if you check my blog, there's going to be other apps that you're going to want, and I review apps all the time. So you may check those out as well.
Just a really quick break here for a message from sponsors, which just happens to be Rocket Matter. And for those of you who know us from our educational materials, whether webinars or ebooks or blog at legalproductivity.com, we also make a super fast cloud-based legal billing and law practice management software to keep lawyers organized and productive with their cases and clients. And we just came out with a new Android app, and to go along with our native iPhone app. We also have a marketing agency for lawyers, Rocket X1. So you can check us out at rocketmatter.com, rocketx1.com, or our blog at legalproductivity.com. And I'll turn it right back over to you, because you're right, this is a fun part of the webinar, Jeff.
Sure. And I do say I did review the Rocket Matter app, and it is fantastic. It works well. The unfortunate thing with a lot of attorney apps is everybody goes for iPhone. It's easier to develop for, and so everybody develops for iOS. So it's refreshing to see companies develop for Android and really make a push to get it done. Was there any questions, Tim, that we didn't answer? Maybe I will answer.
Not right now. And just so that you know, if you have a question that we can't get to it during the webinar, we're going to try and have a couple of minutes after, and you can stick around. And we are going to be putting the slide up on SlideShare, and we're recording this webinar. So if you can't catch the entire thing, you want to catch it later, the blog post is going to be up on legalproductivityblog.com, legalproductivity.com later today, with instructions on where to find the video and where to find the slides.
Cool. So let's talk about some apps, baby. My first favorite app that I'm recommending that people go and grab is the $7.99 app called Depose. Now, if you do a lot of depositions or you're in court a lot, asking a lot of questions, I'm going to suggest you go get Depose. It's going to replace, or I dare say, it'll probably replace your yellow pad as far as outlining for a deposition. Now, what can you do? You can set up a deposition, prepare and organize the questions. You can add exhibits. You can do rearrange your questions. There's a great way to check off the questions or highlight them for additional information. Depose is really, really good. As an insider track, there is going to be some more integration. There will be a new type of trial app that's going to function with Depose and allow you to cross-integrate. When I was in St. Louis 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I talked to the developer of this app, and he showed, I got to see his newest app, which is going to, there are going to be 3 that he's going to put out, which is going to revolutionize the way that if you do a lot of questioning or depositions or things like that, trial preparation, you're going to love these 3 apps. They're fantastic. And I've encouraged him to punch them out as soon as he can. There's some development on the backside, so he's getting to it as far as he can. But for $7.99, the price will go up on this, so grab it now. You'll be locked in. There will be some changes, but at $7.99, why not? And supporting a good guy who's developing apps for Android is the way to go. My next app that I'm falling madly in love is called MightyText, and what this does is sets up a sync between your phone, your tablet, your desktop, Chrome browser, and enables you to send, receive, save, sync, whatever you want to do, text messages. And they appear as little pop-ups, similar to notifications on your desktop, for instance, Microsoft Office, when you get a new email or something like that. It'll pop up, notify you that you've got a new message, and it's like $3.99 to get, but well worth the price. You can, the picture kind of explains itself, but I like to drop my phone if I'm sitting reading in the house in the chair. The text message will pop up as a notification. I can click on it without having to go through my smartphone and get it. Of course, if your phone dies, it's not going to do you much good. It's got to have the phone to be able to do it because it still sends the message that way. People are concerned about privacy on that. I don't send messages, text messages that I care if people find out what they are. I'm not sending client confidential information. I'm not sending nasty text messages. Usually it's, hey, how you doing, hon? Let's go, what are you doing for dinner? So I don't care if, who knows. The encryption on this is fantastic. It's 256, which is military grade. So you really don't have to worry about that either. Great app. Recommend it. Go grab it and use it. You'll find yourself looking at your phone far less than anything. I also like this new app. It's been around for a little while. It's changed, gone through a couple modifications, called D-Law. What this does is bring your statutes book to your tablet or your smartphone and enable you to work offline and review the statutes. It doesn't have case law, so it's not like Fast Case or Westlaw, but it does have the statutes, which sometimes is more important than anything. The base model is free. It comes with the federal rules and a couple other things. But to add state statutes, there's a varying cost. There are some specific practice-specific modules as well. Code of Federal Regulations. You know, if you practice energy law, there's some energy codes, things like that. I think there's even a trademark practice. So if there are certain rules that you have, D-Law's got it in there. I also like this app called CallTrack. I talked about this early on, and I've used this for years, probably since the start of the blog. And what this does is syncs your phone calls on your smartphone to your Google Calendar, which then I use to translate back over into my practice management software and save it with client files. It shows up as a call, tells the duration of the call, tells who it was to, if it's linked, otherwise it's just a phone number if you don't have it linked to your contacts, but it will enable you to see, view, and add the calls. A great way to track your time on phone calls without having to write it down individually. Come back and view your calendar. It's easy enough. I usually, at the end of the day, before I go home, or maybe in the first of the day, the next day, review who called yesterday, put the billing in, and it takes all of about 3 minutes. A great app. And this is free, so you know, why not have it on your phone? If you're looking to edit Microsoft Office documents, right now the best app that I'm most happy with is OfficeSuite Pro. Now there is another app called Quick Office, which is a Google product, and hopefully Google will develop it more to make it even better. But right now, OfficeSuite Pro, OfficeSuite 7 is where it is going to get the job done the best for you. This will create documents, spreadsheets, and presentations, allow you to view PDF files, save them to your desktop, to your tablets, SD card or internal memory, internal storage, or sync them with Dropbox and your Google Drive account. It's fantastic. It works well. Not quite like Microsoft Office, but once you start using it, you can get the idea. And you know, if you're familiar with Office, if you're familiar with WordPerfect, it works just the same way. And most of the features are there. There are some things like redline and track changes, things like that, that aren't available. So if you're a big user of that, you're just going to have to be out of luck for those. But OfficeSuite Pro is about $14, $15, but well worth the money. Chrome Beta is going to be the Chrome browser for your Android. There is also Chrome, which is on the Android, but Chrome Beta adds some features that improve and allow you to customize your device. The way you customize it is to go to Chrome://flags, and there will be a bunch of options. You can do it on your desktop too. The same function works. There will be a bunch of options that you can enable or disable to change the Chrome browser. The reason I like Beta over the Chrome browser is because you usually see the first changes to the Beta browser before they're released to the mass public. And so it is beta, so you need to be aware of that. Sometimes things don't work right, but the browser works well. The other thing I like is that it syncs with your Google account, obviously, since it's a Google product, but you sync passwords, save favorite websites, history, and if you enable it, the fill in the forms across your devices. So your phone, your tablet, and your desktop all see the same things, all have the same passwords, so you're not jumping between the two. That's the one reason I love the Chrome browser. But the Beta browser does the same thing, just adds some extra customizations and some extra abilities. that usually aren't available in the regular browser. If you want to edit PDF documents, you're going to be looking at ezPDF Reader. This app is $3.99 plus there's a little add-on. I think it's like $1.99 that you can add on. I haven't done it. I haven't needed it. But ezPDF Reader allows you to view and edit PDF documents, save them, change them, highlight, markup. I've even used it. I use it to sign pleadings. I've used it to do different things, but I use it to sign pleadings or to have a client sign a contract if I don't use another app or have them in the office. But it's easy because you can share it back to you can share it by email, or you can share it by Dropbox, or any other app that connects to ezPDF Reader. I will say that the Dropbox integration is quite poor on this. I wish they'd make some improvements to make it more of a file type folder reader, Explorer like we have in Windows Explorer, on if you're using Mac, on your Mac. The Dropbox integration to open an app is quite poor. But if you open from Dropbox, works fine. You can save your changes and make the modifications that you need to. A newer app that I found and I just recently reviewed is called Case Manager. If you don't have practice management software, Rocket Matter's one. There are other softwares out there that will do it. If you don't have practice management software, you probably need to look at getting it. A lot of people will say, "Well, I don't do trials, so I don't need to do that. I don't do this, and so I'm fine using Outlook or Google Calendar and using an Excel spreadsheet or some other way to manage." You just can't get it done, I think, that way. And so I think you probably miss stuff that you should be getting. In this case, Case Manager is $20. It goes on your smartphone. It syncs across the devices with your Google account and Dropbox. So if you're on a Windows PC, then you can access your Case Manager program from there. If you're on your tablet, you can access it. Your case is there. There are a couple of drawbacks. It doesn't have a great search feature. It doesn't have a couple of the bells and whistles that some of the other case management software has. But for $20, and if you're looking for something to get by or to help out, Case Manager is a great option for you. This is a new Push Bullet is a new app that I found. It's a lot like the share feature on an Android device, where you click the menu, click share, and it pops up the screen. Except the Push Bullet will share across a tablet, smartphone, or somebody else's device if you share it with them. And so, for instance, I can share photos or content. There's a couple other things. I don't know how useful it is, although I've used it quite a bit to save the hassle of uploading to Dropbox and then downloading from my computer at the office or whatever. But it functions on the same way. But I kind of like it. The thing I think is beneficial is if you do share something, you can share with your wife or your spouse or your significant other a list or some other memo, and they can get that in real-time updates versus having to download it or be notified. They'll get a little notification on the screen, and it'll be there. So I kind of like it. It's a free app, so it's for free. It's worth getting. Now, Android has built-in navigation, which is now through Google Maps, through the Maps app. The navigation's kind of fallen back with the most recent update back in September, so I'm not too happy with it. My suggestion is to go with this Waze app, which I've been using for a long time and really like. Waze is Google purchased Waze, so it's probably going to get integrated in the next. They have a 3-year moratorium, but after that it'll get integrated. This app crowdsources traffic for you. And what that means is all the users are updating traffic conditions, police speed traps, things like that, all while you're driving. So you'll see in real time what the speed limit, what the traffic conditions are, where the speed traps are, where construction zones are, or accidents happen. They'll pop up on your screen and share it. And so as you're driving on your route, you plug in your directions or your location and your destination, and your route will pop up. And if there is a problem, Waze will redirect you to where you should be, kind of like some of the in-car GPS units do, or some of the commercial GPS units do. Waze is a great option for it. And with that, we've come to the bottom of our time. You can connect with me at thedroidlawyer.com, that's my blog, or Jeff at thedroidlawyer.com, or on Google Plus by visiting that page. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who attended. I hope you found some beneficial use out of this, and let me know if you have any questions.
Wow, Jeff, that was great. I mean, I learned a lot, and like I said before, it was great just seeing how it compares to stuff that I've heard about Apple. But here's just a quick question, and I've heard this before. This is from Bob. He said, I ordered a Chromebook last week. Should I keep it or just get a 10-inch tablet?
Oh, yeah. No, keep your Chromebook. I have a Chromebook, and I love it. It's my laptop. There are some disadvantages to it. It's not a typical laptop. You can't install software onto it very easily. But if you're fine working on the web, if you're fine doing things on the web, it works 100%. In fact, I've rarely found an instance where I haven't been able to do something. So keep your Chromebook. Well worth your purchase.
Okay, good. I mean, it's even something I'd consider doing, even though I live in a an Apple world.
You know, and you make the comparison between, say, like an Apple AirPad or whatever it is, the smallest Apple Air, and it at $799 or $1,000. A Chromebook at $250 is just amazing. It's got a great power, HDMI, and I did do a review on the Samsung that I own, and I love it. I'd get another one in a heartbeat.
Excellent. Well, Jeff, thank you for a very informative presentation, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And please send me an email, tim@rocketmatter.com. Let me know what you thought of the presentation, and if you have additional feedback or if you have suggestions for future webinar topics, shoot me an email. And remember to check out our blog at legalproductivity.com and check out Jeff's blog at the Droid Lawyer. And thanks again for attending, and thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.